It had been a long week, the kind of week that stretches you so thin you start to wonder if your body is just running on fumes. My name is Laura, and I live in a quiet suburb in Ohio with my 17-year-old son, Ethan. We've always been close, ever since his father passed away 5 years ago. I took on both roles, the encourager, the disciplinarian, the shoulder to lean on, and the quiet comfort at the end of a long day. That Friday evening, I remember watching Ethan drag himself through the front door after school. His backpack looked heavier than usual, slung over one shoulder, and his eyes carried a tiredness I hadn't noticed before. He gave me a weak smile and muttered a quick, "Hey, Mom," before disappearing upstairs. At first, I brushed it off as normal teenage fatigue. High school can be draining with homework, sports, and the social whirlwind that comes with being 17. But something about the way his shoulders slumped, how his usually quick steps slowed to almost a shuffle, planted a seed of worry in me. Later that night, I tapped gently on his door. He was sitting at his desk, his head resting on a stack of papers. "Ethan," I said softly, "you should at least lay down if you're that tired." He rubbed his eyes and gave me that half-hearted grin again. "I'm fine, Mom, just tired." But as his mother, I knew better. Fine was never really fine. I decided not to press him too hard that evening. Instead, I made his favorite spaghetti for dinner, hoping comfort food might coax him into opening up. He ate quietly, thanked me, and went right back upstairs. That night, I sat awake longer than usual, listening to the quiet hum of the house and wondering what my son was holding back. The following morning, sunlight streamed into the kitchen as I made coffee. I expected Ethan to sleep in, but I heard the creak of stairs earlier than usual. He came down dressed in his running shoes, a hoodie pulled tightly over his head. "Going out for a run?" I asked, surprised. He nodded, grabbing a bottle of water. "Yeah, just need to clear my head." I wanted to ask him what was going on, but something stopped me. Instead, I simply said, "Don't push yourself too hard." Hours later, when he returned, I saw just how pale he looked, beads of sweat dripping down his forehead, his breath heavy. He trudged upstairs again, without a word. That was the night I decided I couldn't let it go any longer. When evening fell and the house grew quiet, I knocked again on his door. "Ethan, can we talk?" This time, he didn't resist. He put down his pen, motioned for me to sit on the edge of his bed, and after a long silence, his words finally spilled out. "Mom," he whispered, his voice breaking, "I don't want you to worry, but I've been trying to hold everything together. School, the team, helping out at work, it's just been too much. I didn't want you to see how much I'm struggling, because I know you've already been through enough." My heart cracked. For so long, I had been focused on making sure I was strong for him that I didn't realize he was trying to do the same for me. I reached for his hand and said, "Ethan, you don't ever have to carry this by yourself. You've never been alone, not once." Tears welled in his eyes, and for the first time in months, I saw the weight lift from his shoulders. He admitted he'd been staying up late, overworking himself, and even taking on extra shifts at the grocery store to help with bills, thinking he was protecting me. That night, we stayed up talking until nearly dawn. We laughed about old memories, shared stories we had both kept buried, and promised that from now on, we'd face everything together, honestly and openly. But what I realized after that night was something I hadn't fully seen before. My son wasn't just tired from exhaustion. He was tired from growing up too fast, from trying to play the protector when he should still be learning, stumbling, and leaning on me. He was tired from carrying a silent load I hadn't noticed in time. So, I made a choice that morning. I would rearrange my schedule, pick up more hours myself, and make sure he knew I wanted him to focus on being a teenager, not a substitute adult. We set new routines, shared dinners, check-ins before bed, and Sunday morning walks where neither of us held back what we were feeling. Weeks passed, and I began to see the change in him. His laughter returned, brighter than before. His eyes no longer carried the same heavy shadows. And while he still worked hard, he allowed himself space to breathe, to rest, to simply be. Looking back now, I realized that night changed everything. It wasn't just about exhaustion. It was about breaking down walls we had both unknowingly built. It was about reminding each other that love doesn't mean pretending to be unbreakable. It means being willing to share the cracks, the weariness, and the hope of healing together. And as I sit here writing this, watching Ethan toss a football in the yard with his friends, I feel an overwhelming gratitude for that night, for the honesty it brought, and for the reminder that even in the toughest seasons, the bond between a mother and her child can shine light into the darkest corners. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do for the person you love most is to simply say, "You don't have to do this alone."